Thank you for joining us today. This is a slightly different format to what we do usually, and we're going to deep dive into the some of the AppExchange tools that are available for Marketing Cloud. So this is going to be very exciting, and I think I'm going to learn quite a lot on this session as well. So let's introduce ourselves. Jimson, would you
Hi,
like to
everyone.
introduce?
Yes, thank you. I'm Jimson Lee. I'm with Cloud Analyst. We're a Salesforce registered partner out in Brighton, and we're primarily do marketing cloud, but we also do product and core as well products.
Cool.
Carrie?
And I'm Kerry Townsend. I've been working in the Salesforce space since I think 2005. So that's longer than I care to think about. Initially implementing core Salesforce, but then moved into Marketing Cloud about 4 years ago. Up until very recently, I was working for a very large GSI, and I am now taking a little bit of time to think about what's next. So when you don't recognize Amber Star Consulting on those slides, that'll be, it's just the company I've done freelance consulting under. So that might surprise a few people. So if we move on to what we're going to talk about today. So we've started with a bit of a welcome. I'm going to give you a brief overview of what is the AppExchange. Many of you probably might know what that is, but just for those that don't. Then we're going to step into demo time, is what we're calling this, which is a slight variation on the official Demo Jam format. Then we're going to talk about the apps that's going to show, and then we're going to get on to the main bit of the show, which Jimson is going to talk us through. Then we'll have a little bit of a vote at the end, and then wrap up and follow up with anything else that anybody might want to talk about. So first of all, I wanted to find out of the people on the call, how many people are actually using a Marketing Cloud product for the AppExchange. So I'm going to try and run a poll here, and we're going to see how well that goes. So you should see a poll coming up now. Hopefully everyone can see that. So if you can indicate whether you're actually using any of the tools on the AppExchange at the moment, it just gives us a bit of a flavor of who we've got on the call. So I'm going to give that a little bit longer. I think we've actually had quite a good response from there, and it's an interesting mix actually. So as it stands, we're looking at probably just under, well, about 40% of people are not using a tool from the AppExchange. Then we've actually got a reasonably high number of people that are actually using more than one, which is, to be honest, I'm a little bit surprised at, but it's a very good thing to actually see. So about a third of people are actually using tools from the AppExchange and actually using more than one, right? So that is a great success. And then we've got about 25% of people who are using one. So overall, we have more people that know about the AppExchange and are using one tool than we have that don't. So that's all really good thing to see. But for those who don't necessarily use the AppExchange, I will go through that in just a little bit of detail and orientation. So the AppExchange is the world-leading business app marketplace. And on here, you can go and find tools that are both created in some cases by an arm of Salesforce or by other external organizations, which allow you to install apps into Marketing Cloud and extend that functionality. So this is a great way of taking the great tools that you already have and then just pushing them that little bit further. And in many cases, it's much more accessible than, for example, building something from scratch. So in here, you can create more of a best-in-breed solution where you're using both Marketing Cloud, but you're also stepping out to some of those other best-in-breed tools and extending that functionality. So you might find that in some cases, it's a specific piece of functionality that actually extends a key piece of Marketing Cloud, and we'll see those some little apps that you can actually install into Marketing Cloud, which Jimson will demo a little bit later. But then in some cases, you also find that there are other complementary products, and that the companies that have built those are actually building connectors. And by connecting that all together, it becomes a much more powerful and cohesive solution. So as part of that, we've got both free tools, which everybody loves a free tool, but then also paid solutions. And some of the pricing models of those differ, and they're all, you know, value led. So it's worth checking that in particular. But particularly, there is an app producer called Salesforce Labs, where they produce, you know, key pieces of functionality that I think someone within the community or within Salesforce have identified as needing. And those are typically all for free on the AppExchange. So if nothing else, if you're looking to step in either with core Salesforce or Marketing Cloud, it's definitely worth checking out the Salesforce Labs tools as an entry point, and then going further and exploring everything else that is available. And you can get that, like I've included a URL here, which I'm not expecting anybody to actually, you know, type that in. But if you search for Salesforce AppExchange, or it's appexchange.salesforce.com, you'll get right to the place in there, which will give you all the information that you need. So we are today doing something which we're calling Demo Time, which is a variation on the official Demo Jam format. So some of you will have seen the official Demo Jam format, and that is a very well established and quality thing to watch if you've not ever seen one, where you typically have approximately 4 different apps. They demo for 3 minutes, and it's absolutely demo only, no PowerPoint, and they give you a flavor of the tool, and then at the end everybody votes, and then there's a winner. And you'll see those, you see them at World Tour, you see them at community conferences, and also they run every 3rd Thursday of the month online. So if you haven't seen any of those before, I definitely recommend that you go and check that out. And all the recordings are there from history. So it's a great way of, if you're looking or wanting to understand what's been extended or how to extend both core Salesforce or Marketing Cloud, you can go back through all the history of those. And they're typically focused on a particular area. So you might go, oh, well, this particular Demo Jam is about the marketing ones, or this is about apps that are useful in financial services, right? And you can get a key flavor of how that's working. Now, we are doing a slightly different format today because we weren't really sure, one, how familiar everybody was with the Demo Jam, or how familiar everybody was with the AppExchange. And therefore, we wanted to give a little bit more flexibility to be able to position those products, but still keep it in quite a quick fire round. So in this particular session, everybody will have up to 10 minutes. We are going to allow people to show some PowerPoints if it helps fit the format. The format will be present a business problem and then position the solution. And if you have any questions as we're going along, please put those on in the chat. And if time permitting, as people are swapping over the presenters, then we'll try and get to some of those so that they're all fresh of mind. And then we will have a vote at the end. And in this particular instance, that's pretty much just for bragging rights. Just to say, do you know what, this was an amazing session, and yes, we won. And I'm not sure how far that's going to go or how much credit that's going to get, but still, it was really great that everybody could join us. And I know that there are some apps on here that I don't use, so I'm really looking forward to finding out a bit more about them. So the ones that we're going to see today are, in terms of the free selection, are Query Studio, which again is a Salesforce Lab app, and Deployment Manager, which is also by Salesforce Labs and is a free app. Now, I think some people might have heard a little bit more about Deployment Manager recently, but if you haven't heard about either of these, you've come to the right place and you definitely need to know about them. And then we're going to move on to understand a bit more about SalesWing and how that helps with lead generation. We're going to see DESelect in action and see how that can help with our SQL queries. And then we're going to look at the no-code preference center and see how that gives admins an option to build a really comprehensive preference center, but without actually having to write any code themselves. And on that note, I am going to hand right over to Jimson, who is going to kick us off with the first demo slash positionings. Yeah.
Can I share my screen, or do I have to wait until you?
Indeed, you can.
You have the power.
I have
Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So I'm sure those, let me time myself first. I do have a stopwatch so I don't go over. I won't take 10 minutes, trust me. I'll be 5 minutes at the most. So I think anyone who logged into Marketing Cloud will see this window, and you've seen the AppExchange window button here, and you can see that I've already installed the two that we're talking about, the two free ones. And when you click on it, you get to a page and you can search and download your app, which I won't do for time. So once you have your app installed, you have to go to setup, which is the top right-hand corner. If you don't have permissions here, then you're out of luck. So see your admin to see if you can install this setup. And then the AppExchange products are under apps, installed packages. This is where you get your, to view your stuff. Now, you're probably asking if, what happens if you have multiple VUs? Well, don't worry about it. You just have to enter it, install it once, and you can see how the package looks like. And when you go to licenses, you can actually see the levels of who gets access to what, which user has access to it. So it's very robust. And you'll see I have two VUs here, and my child VU also has access to this. So this is how you install and access licenses and see your package. If you're writing the Marketing Cloud admin exam, this is a question on the exam, so better learn it. And this is good information. Okay, so once you're out of that, let me get to Query Studio quickly here. So back to the main page, Query Studio. And very simple, very basic. It does have a timer, so you can actually see how long it takes to run your query. Now, I'm a very poor typer, so I decided to type it up ahead of time. And this is a SQL statement. Remember, there are 5 languages you need to know Marketing Cloud really well. SQL is one of them, AmpScript's number 2. And in this case, I have a data extension called SE Bootcamp Custom Demo with 64,000 records, and it has multiple fields, first name, last name. And what I want to do is in this data extension, I want to see, I want to show first and last name, but how many and who has a last name that starts with the name Bolt, as in Usain Bolt. So I hit run, and okay, so don't forget, I'm on S10, stack 10. Now my European org is stack 50, but this is S10, which is in the US, which is 6 p.m. now, which is 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Pacific. And I don't know how long this is going to take because it is Marketing Cloud and we're on S10. Those on S7, I feel real bad for you because that's the one that's really heavy and slow. So this is a very simple statement. Again, 64,000 records, and this should take about, there we go, 36 seconds. The problem with this is that there is no debugger, right? There's no way you can do, well, there is, but it's a bit beyond the scope of this 10-minute talk. And you can see it returned 26 rows and all the people named Bolt or Bolton, right? I did Bolt %, and you can see it actually worked nicely. Let's try another one here. So that was a simple SQL statement. Let's try another one here. Let's try this one here. Here, in one of the fields, it's M or F for male and female. Some of the fields have no gender because they wish not to show their gender. And I want to see how many are men, how many are women, and how many decline to answer. I hit run, and let's see how long this takes. Now, while we're waiting, one of the beauties, like the reason why we're doing this demo jam is because we want to solve a business problem, a technical problem. And before this product came out, this app came out, you had to create a staging data extension first and run your tests. And it just took a lot of time. And sometimes you just need to know something quickly. Any data extension, any data view, system view you have, you can actually run a query. And if you know SQL really well, you can do fancy join statements and figure out exactly what you need to know. So this took 32 seconds. And this showed me that there were 32,000 men, 32,000 women, and 515 declined to enter male or female. So that's really it for Query Studio. This is not a course on SQL. If you want to know more, feel free to reach out and we can help you with SQL. Now, you're probably asking yourself, where are the results? Did you lose your result? Like oh, I missed the last results of the previous query. Well, fear not, because there's two things that Marketing Cloud Query Studio does. And one, it actually keeps your data extensions. The results is in called Query Studio Results. And this is where it keeps it for 24 hours. And you'll see the first sorted by name. So the previous one, remember, it returned 26 results. This is the results here. And the last one I just ran had 3 results, right? Male, female, and null. And these are the results. And I can show it to you if you don't believe me. You believe me anyway, but I'll still just show it to you. See? And this is it. So this was the bottom of the other screen. And then you're probably asking, oh, wait a minute. I lost my query, right? If I go back to Query Studio, I lost my statement. What happened to it? And then fear not, it is in Journey Builder Automation Studio, and it is under Activities and under SQL Query, and you can see it's called Interactive Query. So I can copy and paste that SQL statement that I just typed in. I have it on Notepad as well, but so this is a history of your work. And that was 6.5 minutes long.
Yep.
Pretty much a free product. I highly recommend it. If you have the permission and the rights to install it, I highly recommend. It's free. Install it. It will save time. It saves you from having to create another data extension or cloning data extensions. Highly recommended. It could use some work. It could use a better debugger, but it's free, so that's not complaining.
Yeah.
That's it. Any quick questions before we move on?
There are no current questions in the chat. So for now, I'm going to just assume that you did a perfect demo.
Thank you very much.
And that those questions will filter in at some point in the future.
Okay, thank you. How do I stop the share? So Jason Court. So Jason Court is one of our marketing champions. If you missed it, he also gave a couple of webinars earlier in the year, in which one was Journey Builder. And I think with Journey Builder, hang on, Jason, do you want to take over the screen if you can while you're listening, while I introduce you?
I cannot take over the screen. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. So Journey Builder. Let's say you have a couple of BUs. You have a training BU or a staging BU, and you have your production BU. You create this beautiful 30-step journey, but now your client wants you to copy that into production. What do? Well, I've in the past, believe it or not, manually created it, element by element. But we have Deployment Manager, which is also a free AppExchange Labs from Marketing Cloud. And I said, Jason Court, please take over the screen and welcome and thank you.
Yeah, cheers. I did do the Journey Builder view of Deployment Manager a couple of months ago, and it's brilliant for that. But there are obviously some shortcomings there with the whole elements of, decision splits being tied to entry data and all that kind of, kerfuffle you get with deploying a new journey anyway. The bit about Deployment Manager that I think makes the biggest difference for me is when we're staging attribute groups and data extensions and automations in a dev area, I need to put that into a production area. Obviously, as Jimson mentioned, you go back a year or two and having to recreate every single SQL query and replumb an entire automation that may be 60 steps long by hand, and all that opportunity for human error does get a bit taxing. And I've had many journeys that have been deployed on my behalf from a staging area to a live area with little things that you don't spot because you've changed your decision split 15 times in the last week and it's not quite working to plan. So for me, the biggest benefit of Deployment Manager, if I just jump over into the UI, is that you can actually use Deployment Manager to grab data extensions, journeys, automations, and attribute groups, which when it comes to lifting and shifting from a large amount of configuration in one business unit or even between two orgs. So if you need to lift up from, a dev org that is one that you own to a client org, lifting and shifting of that is a far less taxing piece of work than it ever used to be. So if I just show here, you've got some of the data views, which is obviously a common task that we probably all do, is create data extensions for the data views, because tracking extracts have their own little challenges. So all I have to do here, I'll go into Deployment Manager, select the ones I want to keep, or the ones I want to create a snapshot of, create a snapshot, and then download the snapshot. It's then nice and straightforward. If I just head back over to Email Studio and delete these, off they go, and then drag in my latest deployment JSON file and deploy the snapshot by dragging that in. So it's essentially going to redeploy the majority of what is in this demo org. It'll throw some errors because some things may already still be there, but it's far quicker than doing this all by hand manually. Back when I was doing agency side, I had a deployment manager JSON file that just had all the data views and all the common stuff that I would ever run in any org, which would be a daily automation to get the latest of the data views, all the data views provisioned, and just drop that into Deployment Manager and leave it and save what would have been historically a day or two's worth of work into a few minutes, which was much appreciated by myself, my managers, and my clients, because why waste time if you don't need to? So these are just deploying now, and you can just start to see as it deploys. There we go. Here are the data view data extensions back as if they were never touched. It even retains the external keys, so you're not deploying anything with new IDs. Anything you've got with APIs just slot straight back in as it was, no harm done. So it just becomes a point of changing your endpoints from one org to another or one business unit to another, and just changing your MIDs on anything you're doing from external sources. I think that kind of sums up Deployment Manager as a really useful tool to have. It's free, give it a go.
Great, thanks, Jason. That was 4.5 minutes. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
First of all, one comment: you are very brave to do this live on Stack 4, S4 at 1:30 in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time, America. So I always get nervous when I do that because anything S4, S7. While we get our next presenter to set up, there was one quick question, so I'll introduce Greg in a second. So Greg, if you want to set up your next slide. So Jason, question for you from the field, from Josh. He says, how does this handle overriding existing elements? Is it iterative changes to config?
So from the testing I've done with it, if there is something that is already there, it will skip it. But that may be something you can change with looking at the JSON object, because it will use the names and the keys there. So you can, when you export the snapshot, you can actually change elements. So if you've got a data extension that needs to be changed, you can go in and change the name, the keys, and if you need to change a field to be 128 characters instead of 120 characters, then you can do that there as part of the redeployment of that.
Great. And the last question, if we have time here, from Sam. says you're doing this demo with an empty data extension. If this was a real DE with records, will the records be included in the snapshot?
No, it doesn't pull out data. Imagine if you've got, 10 million rows in a data extension, pulling that out into a JSON object is going to be a bit hefty to try and redeploy. So it is purely on the config side.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, it just does the metadata. Okay, next presenter. Thank you, Jason. So, any questions on Deployment Manager? Feel free to reach out to me or Jason. We're on LinkedIn. We're active in the community on several chat forums and Slack groups. Happy to help.
We're all over the place. Yeah, we're all over the place.
We don't sleep, do we? Okay, so next presenter, Gregory Kaliuzhnyi.
Yes. Thank you a lot for the introduction. I will share my screen now. Yep, here we go. Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. All right, then thanks everyone for joining. And it's indeed a pleasure to present today in the group. So I believe I can start.
Yep, all set.
All right. So, well, I will start just for the introduction of what DESelect is. It is a segmentation solution for Salesforce Marketing Cloud. And I will jump straight to the point. So actually we see these 5 challenges that happen most of the time when marketers in Marketing Cloud try to segment their data. Basically, marketers realize that they need to learn SQL queries to segment their data, and well, marketers do not want to learn that. Well, a lot of time being spent on data management, such as on solutions such as Excel segmentation or well, any other types of, so that can be discussed. Well, there are a lot of possible solutions how you can segment your data in Marketing Cloud, but most of them are very time-taking. Because of that, the personalization and targeting becomes less relevant. And well, another pain point here is that marketers are sometimes dependent on technical experts who might write SQL queries for them or just support them in the segmentation process. Lastly, well, this is for those who, for the companies or for the department that implement Marketing Cloud, it also slows down the implementation cycle. Well, and we strive to give the following benefits. So we allow marketers to play with SQL without writing SQL, and actually we help them to increase campaign ROI, run more campaigns, and increase user adoption, since we provide a user interface to segment their data. And finally, we reduce the Marketing Cloud implementation cycle, since there is no need to adjust the segmentation machine. Well, since today we are the guests at the London group, I have chosen the customer success story from from this country. So it's the Cambridge University Press, and there actually there was a need for them to to avoid writing SQL queries and using Excel segmentation, and the interesting part here is currently even junior marketers do it without SQL queries in less than 5 minutes. And let's try to do the same now. I will show you the live demo, and we'll try to create a segment in indeed less than 5 minutes, and see how you can use DESelect for that. So I will show you the live demo of the tool. I can switch to this tab. So we are an AppExchange solution, as every presenter of today's meetup. So you can find it under AppExchange button in Marketing Cloud. And in DESelect, you can see first this dashboard. So this dashboard is a set of selections that you create in DESelect. And well, each selection has some data, such as status, number of records it returns, who created it, and other data. And each selection is a segmentation scenario. I will not go through all the details of the interface, since we are limited on time, and we can go directly to a new selection creation process. So we will go through 3 easy steps. We will define selection criteria, we will create target definition or target data extension, and we will see the preview of our selection before running it. So I will start by adding my first data extension called accounts. I drop it onto here and I just give it an alias. Then I drop another data extension, contacts, and I drop it over accounts, and I click save. And here's the place where the magic for the non-technical marketers happen, because you can create a data relationship or SQL query join without writing any piece of SQL query, just by defining fields and the type of your SQL join or data relationship. We support all types of SQL joins, and also exclusions and union. So I will stick to inner join for this example, and I will also add another data extension on top of accounts. So I will do exactly the same. We'll just create an inner join or accounts with matching opportunities and choose the field account ID in both data extensions to join these two DEs. I click save. So just to mention, you can also join data views, synchronized and shared data extensions as well here. Right. So let's move on to apply some filters. We can just drag and drop fields from the source data extensions. They are grouped by data extensions names. I will use just two filters, type and stage, from opportunities data extension and type from accounts. And well, what helps marketers to save time, because you can use pick lists in DESelect, and you can already choose one of the values in the field of your data extension. So this is the first step, and we have defined data extensions, created some filters. Now we move to the second step called target definition. You can use either an existing target data extension or create a new one on the go. Let's save some time and create it right away. Let's call it target DE demo 1. Yep. And we can choose, it should be sendable and testable, and we can choose the location. Yeah, in my case, that would be demo data, and I click save. So in this window, you can configure your target data extension right in DESelect, so there's no need to create it in any other interface. I can just click add all fields, and all the fields from my source data extensions are already added and mapped to my target DE. I can edit all of them. For example, I don't need some multiple primary keys. Here we go. And I also delete these fields. By the way, you can also edit each of the fields and change primary keys, nullable default values, and so on. Finally, I define the data send relationship that relates to subscriber, and I click save data extension. Well, once data extension is saved and it already appears in your Marketing Cloud account, you can apply some custom values, such as case event statements or dynamic values, defining your values based on a set of rules. You can put timestamps, apply fixed values, and so on. You can also define deduplication rules if you work with several data sources. And of course, you can edit your target data extensions fields and change data action from override append to update. Right, but let's go further, and we have already created our target data extension. So now we are moving to the last step called preview. And to execute preview, we need to give a name to our selection. Let's just call it demo show. And I just click run preview, and you see our penguin sliding. That means that the preview is being loaded. So the preview is needed for marketers for three main reasons. Reason number one is that marketers can see an example of the data in their target data extension. Reason number two, well, if there is a certain, if one of the fields is wrong or missing, marketers can always go back to one of these first steps, apply some changes, and then go, see the preview again.
You have 2 minutes left there, Greg.
Thanks for the notice. And so the last reason why you would like to have preview here is to see what would be the total number of records in the target data extension. So once you have an issue, you can always get back. We can see the preview now. So it shows 20 records. Total number of records is to be calculated in a moment. And we can already see the preview and see an example of our data extension. Once you are done, you can either save it as a template and allow other users use your selection as a template to be copied or taken for the inspiration, or you can click run, which will execute this selection and populate your target data extension with some data. Yeah, we can see it's 55 records. So let's assume this is my selection and I'm totally satisfied with it. I can just click run and it will be run, executed, and my targeted extension will be populated with these values. This is the end of the demo show. This is the end of presentation. Again, thanks everyone for watching this demo. And if you have any questions, I'm very open to those.
Yeah, thanks, Gregory. If Philip, if you want to get ready and set up and share your screen, I'll get some questions out for Greg while we're waiting. And I apologize, Philip. I thought you were going first and Greg second, but I got all excited in the promotion. So Greg, couple of questions here. Question. Okay, so Josh, question. What's the pricing model for DESelect? Pricing?
All right. Yeah, so the pricing model depends on actually 3 criteria. So one of them is the DESelect edition. You can check the editions on the website, and 2 other price determinants are the number of business units and number of users who will use DESelect in the company. So basically, it varies and it depends, but you can check out more on the website of DESelect under pricing tab.
Great. And the other question is, can DESelect activities be put as part of an automation studio as well?
Exactly. So, well, from technical perspective, DESelect generates a SQL query in the background in Automation Studio. So once we clicked run, and in my demo, you saw that I clicked run. So the SQL query was created in the background in Automation Studio, and you can automate them and use them in automation flow as any other SQL query, and you can use it for the automation, yeah, like any other SQL.
Great. Great, thanks. So let's move on to the next presenter. We have philipschweizer from SalesWings. He's the CEO and co-founder, and he's got a wonderful product. Philip, if you can share your screen.
Yeah, sure. So I just wanted to show myself quickly. Hey, I'm in a small vacation house this week, but wanted to say hi. I'm going to go off video right now, but yes, I'm going to start sharing my screen. Can you see my slides now?
Yep. Loud and clear.
Okay, so you can see my mouse moving. All good?
Yep.
Okay, great. Well, firstly, thanks a lot and hi, everybody. So as Jimson said, I'm Philip. I'm the co-founder and CEO here at SalesWings. We provide the ultimate B2B studio for the Marketing Cloud. And I wanted to briefly give an introduction. I know you want to see the demo, and we will do that. But just a brief note about SalesWings. We are a Switzerland-based company. We do work with clients all around the world, companies of different sizes. Our smallest customer has about 20 employees. Our largest customer has over 40,000 employees. B2B Studio is for any kind of industry. We're specialized in digital lead management, and I'll tell you a little story now how it goes. So we're going to go back to 1975 just to take you through a brief example here. So 1975, and we're going to take the brand VOLVO, which, by the way, disclaimer, is not one of our clients. Of course, we want to be confidential about what our customers are exactly doing. But in 1975, marketing looked something like this. So you had newspaper ads. Everything was pretty basic. The customer experience was then mostly built in store. So people would go to the Volvo dealership. They would have a look at all the cars, and of course they had a great sales clerk showing them exactly what they wanted. The experience was personalized. It was friendly. It was speaking to the exact needs of this lead, and therefore it was pretty simple and pretty efficient. Now, fast forward, how are we now in 2020? Well, in 2020, we're looking at almost 70% of the buyer's journey is digital. That's 70%, that's 2/3. So that's B2B and that is B2C, and that's pretty dramatic. And Adam Blitzer mentioned in his keynote recently, almost 50% of sales reps are not confident with this current digital environment. They can't see the leads, they can't feel the leads, and they can't create that buying experience. And we know that buying experience has a big impact on the ability to close deals and ultimately for a buyer to buy. Now in 2020, Marketing Cloud is a fantastic omni-channel platform. And VOLVO, well, VOLVO, whether it's B2C or B2B, as we know, a lot of the buying decisions happening online, right? So there's the website, that's the dealer, that's the modern dealership. And the problem is, this is how a lot of inside sales reps try to sell today. They can't see the leads, they can't feel the leads, they're shooting in the dark, and it's creating obviously a lot of problems. And here we're in the Sales Cloud, so obviously lead management, we're talking about Marketing Cloud and about Sales Cloud. And actually, this is how a lot of companies still look at lead prioritization and lead management today. So B2B and B2C companies. So as you know, Marketing Cloud's a great fit for companies who have a B2B and a B2C aspect. But any type of business here is just no longer in control in today's digital world. And that's really where SalesWings comes in. And conceptually, I wanted to show you this here. So on the left side, we have the marketing and sales funnel. So you're generating lead activity, you're driving leads to the website with Marketing Cloud. Well, SalesWings will identify these leads. We're going to qualify these leads in real time, and we're allowing to hand over leads at the right moment to the sales reps to then allow the sales reps, to get a full picture on the needs of these leads, the sales readiness, understand the buying journey, and ultimately create a very well organized marketing and sales force, and ultimately gain revenue growth. Now you want to see the demo, so here it goes. So quick story. So we're going to have a lead, Shinya Eriksson. Shinya Eriksson signs up for a VOLVO newsletter on the website. Pretty discreet action from a seemingly meaningless lead. And then we're going to see SalesWings coming in, leveraging the lead intelligence it collects for Marketing Cloud customers with powerful lead qualification, lead profiling, how we're creating sales and marketing alignment, and ultimately how we get fantastic sales efficiency in a digital world and provide insights to the team. So now here I'm on the Volvo Cars website. So briefly for you to understand how I've built this. So SalesWings at the heart has a plug and play lead activity tracking. We collect lead activity from the website, videos they watch, forms they submit, cloud pages, we track ad engagement, really full customer journey tracking, and it's a single JavaScript you place on your website and on your cloud pages. So here I'm on a generic form on the website of Volvo, so I'm just going to fake that Shinya Eriksson here is visiting, is submitting the website. Just like Pardot, Marketo, a form submission or a click in a Marketing Cloud email is ultimately going to resolve the identity and then match the full lead history with the person. So here I'm opening up the SalesWings Lead Cockpit. The Lead Cockpit is a dashboard for the marketing administrators, but also for the sales teams to see all the leads that are active in real time. So we see Shinya just came in on a newsletter, but what seems to be a meaningless newsletter subscription turns out to be a very powerful lead for the B2B fleet management, fleet sales teams. So we can see here SalesWings has identified interest in the XC60 and 40 models. We have a funnel abandonment activity identified, which in this case means Shinya had gone through a configurator and then abandoned the funnel. We see there was an engagement with the summer campaign, email campaign on the Marketing Cloud. We have identified Shinya matching a fleet sales profile, and we've identified interest in topics like hybrid and electric vehicles. So this is a powerful way to profile leads. Here you can see multiple scoring. So SalesWings not only profiles the leads in order to have segmentation data, we also have multiple scoring. So we have different scores right here. And of course, we can see here a summary of all the raw data SalesWings is collecting. Of course, limited now because it's kind of a local tracking. But we see very rich interest data and data that's available to communicate much more personal with.
Philip, 2-minute warning, Philip. Sorry.
Sorry?
2-minute warning.
Sure. And before I go into the Marketing Cloud, just quickly how this is working. So SalesWings is very user-friendly. We have a central place where we set up the scores. It's rule-based, it's click-based. So here we have the fleet score. So in this case, we're gonna, for example, add 10 points based on a website activity. We can track data with Google Tag Manager, and we can basically just build our scoring in this way. Now, how does this look in the Marketing Cloud? So SalesWings connects in about a minute to the Marketing Cloud, and we start pushing data over in real time. So here we see the main SalesWings data extensions. So I'm just going to show you, obviously, how a filter would be working. So we've seen the tags. So here we have a very simple way to get all the fleet leads out. There you go. Well, I'm gonna let this think here. I'm the famous S4.
Yeah.
But here we would imagine that this lead would, go straight on a fleet sales journey, get all the fleet benefits, and then we can, prioritize, qualify these leads right in here. Now, also, what's very important, this lead then would be automatically handed over to the sales reps in the Sales Cloud. So we push our data straight into the Sales Cloud. So we have Shinya Eriksson right here. It's been identified as a hot lead. We have some of the lead scoring right there. Okay. We can provide sales teams with dedicated lists of leads, contacts, or accounts who qualify for a specific service or product.
Okay, Philip, we have to stop. It's time is up.
Sure.
And then that's thank you. That was great overview. I think I can see a lot of questions here on the, and we'll save them for a bit. This way we give Shane, if you're still on, get ready for your next presenter. The big question, I'm sure everyone's wondering, isn't Pardot the B2B solution for Salesforce?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think as we're all Marketing Cloud fans, as we know, there are a set of reasons why, Pardot may not be a fit with a client's needs. So omni-channel is one. The way Marketing Cloud can use data is another reason. And SalesWings really is, a powerful add-on that connects straight to the Marketing Cloud. Also, Pardots only available together with the Sales Cloud. SalesWings, brings lead management to Marketing Cloud, even when Sales Cloud is not in place. But in general, the situation where SalesWings is interesting is, where it's really a HubSpot versus Marketing Cloud, a Marketo versus Marketing Cloud, and then the client really needs great lead management and lead tracking capabilities. So yeah, I mean, in the past, I think companies were, pushing Marketing Cloud and Pardot to one customer, but of course, it doesn't make sense to have two marketing automation systems.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Phil. Can you unshare your screen? Okay, great. We have a lot of questions for you, Philip. If you can just hang on 10 more minutes, we will have a whole bunch of questions for you that came in the chat window. So our next presenter is Shane Smyth. You might have remembered him from our meetup when we last had in-person meetups a year ago in September, I believe, of last year, and he presented a no-code preference center. Now, anyone who works in Marketing Cloud, if you're working with multiple BUs and multiple Salesforce orgs, you have to do a custom preference center, right? There's no way around it. And I won't steal the thunder from Shane, but Shane, you want to take over and maybe give a quick 10-second introduction, who you are and what you do?
Yep, sounds good. You guys can see my slides okay over here?
Yep, all good.
All right. I'm going to try to keep this as abbreviated as possible. I know we're running up against time. I'm trying to catch as much people as we possibly can. So Shane Smyth, I work for a company called Horizontal Digital. We're a consulting firm, and we're also an ISV. I've been in the Marketing Cloud space for over 7 years now. And one of the pain points that I saw as being a consultant and working for companies is the preference center problem. That the standard preference center is, you get a little wah when you get in there. There's not a whole lot of functionality and features. And as Jimson was mentioning, you mostly have to do custom preference centers nowadays. So I wanted to build a preference center that was point and click, and that drove a lot of value for our marketers. So I won't belabor the point here, besides the fact that part of this is bringing together the single view of the customer. As the other two apps have also mentioned, that's part of what we're trying to do here: segmentation, driving data, trying to understand our customers. What the no-code preference center allows you to do is to fully configure a custom preference center with your company's brand and configurations with clicks and not code, driving that better segmentation once you have that information about your customers, and bringing that full picture of your customer together. So I'm going to dive straight into the demo here. We're going to be talking about Great Lakes Outdoors, which is one of our demo brands. This preference center is fully configurable. So everything that you can see on the screen here can be changed, including the text, the color, the background, the imagery here. And I'll show some of that configuration here on the back end. But this is what a customer would see. The other main points of custom preference center, especially when you're dealing with companies that are based out of Europe and other regions, you have to deal with a lot of languages, and doing multiple languages in a custom preference center using AmScript is really complicated. So this solution allows you to stitch together multiple business units and multiple languages in a single experience. So I can quickly come up here and see that I have 2 languages enabled in this preference center. Quickly switch over to Spanish and see the entire page switch into Spanish simply by click of a button here. And that is all configuration we'll show here in a minute. There are 3 main sections on our preference center. There's the profile section, so where you can ask your users questions or what their information is about their profile. All these questions here can be configured to what your business or company needs to ask for, and some of these can be disabled as well. So you can show your email address to verify that this is them, but disable it so they can't modify it. Then going down to the next section, there's 2 different optional interest components here. So we don't only want to drive the ability to opt into emails, but we also want to be able to ask, what are you interested in? What is the area you want to receive your communications? So there is the ability to have these top level interests here, where you can have 1 to many different interests that you can opt in and use this for your segmentation in the back end. And then you have the ability to ask multiple questions. And these questions can be derived here from the preference center, and also be derived from the website and online and offline channels here. But these, as I mentioned before, drive that segmentation capability in Marketing Cloud. In the very last section that everyone's thinking of the back of their head is the subscriptions. So the way we think about these subscriptions is that subscriptions are the collection of email communications, kind of a theme of the type of emails you will receive. So you can see that we have hiking tips here, which is in the channel of email. In this hiking tips subscription enables the marketers to send hiking tip newsletters, one-off journeys to this end user. And when paired with the information we've collected above, we can start to segment and personalize our communication to our customers by saying, I want to find everyone who is opted into the hiking tip subscription, but also has maybe mountain biking, or someone who's opted into mountain climbing, and micro segment that audience down so you can really start to target your customers. So this is the front end experience. On the back end though, what does this look like? I'll pull up our Sales Cloud instance. We have a managed package and an app, so you can either manage your configuration straight from your Sales Cloud or Service Cloud instance, or you can do it directly in Marketing Cloud if you don't have or don't have an integrated instance like that. The configuration is very easy. You can come in here, make modifications to your business units, and you can see that I have APAC as one of my business units. I can quickly add German as a language here, and then I would go through and actually make those configuration changes hereafter. So if I go over to our Preference Center section, this is the main section of where you can modify everything. Everything is drag and droppable in here, so you can see the categories, and you can see the subscriptions underneath it and what channels they're a part of. And on the right-hand side, you can see all the areas that you would make modifications to your language and details about your subscription. So this really takes the complicated AMP script and HTML requirements that a lot of us as consultants and companies have to deal with when they're creating a preference center and brings it into an easy UI. The last thing I'll show before I finish up here is just the Marketing Cloud version of this. So you can see that we're in Marketing Cloud and we have a very similar app as you've seen some of the other Exchange partners. That you can do the same type of configuration here in Marketing Cloud as well. It's really a choice based on where your data lives and how your systems are integrated. So with that being said, I will pause and see if there's any questions.
That was amazing. 5.5 minutes there, Shane. You won the timing contest, that's for sure.
Yep.
Any questions for Shane? I don't see anything on the chat window. Maybe they were all at the last meetup where they saw you in person. No questions for Shane.
Cool.
No question. I guess my only question is, well, hang on. There's a question here. Yeah, no, yeah, pricing, same thing, question.
Yeah, the $1 million questions there. Like, I think everybody has hit on the sweet spot with the questions. One, pricing, and followed by competitors. How does it fit with all these other things? Like, everybody has been spot on with their questions in the chat. I'm thinking that where we are on time, I'm going to put up the poll so that people can pick a winner before I know that a lot of people potentially have to drop off. So let's see if I can actually manage to get that working. Okay. Hopefully everybody can see a poll. Gonna get someone to give me, yep, someone selected one. Awesome, lovely. I also want to take a moment just to thank Amanda, who is on the call. Now, Amanda looks after the AppExchange. So it's lovely to see her on this call. I'll wave. It's here we go. And she also dropped in the chat earlier that the website for the AppExchange demo is appdemojam.com, which is actually really easy to remember. And I'm feeling a little foolish that I didn't manage to get it on a slide. But if you are looking to follow up with any of the demo jams that have happened in the past, it's a really sort of rich content session. So if you have like an hour or two, the amount of information that you can pick up from watching a couple of those is really immense. So I definitely recommend watching those. So we've had 27 out of the 33. So we're going to give just a couple more seconds.
Do you want me to answer some of the questions that are coming in about NCPC?
Yes. Hang on. So I'll just, if I do, we're stuck at 23 now. So if I just suggest who potentially has one out of that, and then we'll follow back with all the questions with however long people have. Right. So the exciting news here is that I can actually declare the winner as the No-Code Preference Center. So hey Shane, it was worth you actually hanging on there. And I do think that probably the whole preference center element has caused people a lot of pain and a lot of headache and a lot of explaining. I know definitely as a consultant, like I've had to position the solutions with people and clients, and they have always been a little bit like, you what? Like, you mean we need to do what? Like,
Yep.
it's not out the box. We have to what? So it doesn't like, so, you know, that sort of positioning is always a little bit of a challenge.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for everyone who took part of the poll. Yeah, Josh, not Josh, Shane, questions. There are a lot of questions on for you actually. You can see in the chat. So let's do the first question here. Other than you did pricing, right? You answered the pricing question.
We've
Nope.
not gotten
Okay.
yet.
Okay, so let's start with pricing from Mark and Josh. What's about pricing?
Yep. So our pricing is structured around volume of records that we have to deal with, and we are kind of in a tiered model. In the first model is where a lot of our clients live, which is it goes up to about 1.5 million records. So in a lot of cases, customers fit in that. That pricing starts at $1,000 a month. So that's the pricing for most of our businesses, and we're absolutely happy to work with each individual on that pricing. And you feel free to reach out to me over LinkedIn or through email if you have any questions on that. I thought I saw a question about channel preferences coming through as well, so I'll take that one. Absolutely can do channel preferences, email, SMS, push notification, and direct mail as well are the capabilities that we can do right now. Really at that point, it's about connecting your data back to the data source in the NOCO Preference Center. So as long as you can do that, you can make it work. And then I think there was another question about updating data into Salesforce and Marketing Cloud. Yes, so there, as I mentioned, there are two different versions. There's a managed package, which is data lives in Salesforce and pushes to Marketing Cloud, so you guys can use it for segmentation and for personalization. And then for the Marketing Cloud only version, where you may not have Sales Cloud, the data was pushed back directly into data extensions in Marketing Cloud.
Perfect. Yeah, so apparently you do have a prize there waiting for you. Amanda has kindly
Thanks,
donated.
Amanda.
Thank you.
Yep.
So you get your prize. Okay, there's a question from Lara about records equal context. I believe that's synonymous.
Not quite, but pretty much the same. So records are contacts plus their subscription records. So each time we create a subscription, we log all that information to keep track for GDPR, CASL, CAN-SPAM compliance. So when do they log in? Where did it come from? When do they opt out? All those records and details were kept. So mostly contacts with a little bit of extra records, and I'm happy to explain a little more of that.
Great, thank you. I think there's a question back for Gregory about DESelect, and I think I know the answer, but I'll let you answer. Does it work with synchronized data extensions?
Thanks for the question. Yeah, indeed. So DESelect works with every type of data extension, and every type means that we work with synchronized, shared, standard data extensions, and on top of that, you can also use data views to be queried, filtered, and so on.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Good question, actually. I don't see any more questions. Anything else? Anything for the three presenters or myself or for Jason as well?
Yeah. And just for reference, Philip has put his contact details in the chat and also a link to LinkedIn. So if anybody wants to find out more about that product, then feel free to catch up with Philip after this call.
Yeah, I think,
I think there was
question for SalesWings for pricing. Philip?
Yeah, absolutely. So for SalesWings pricing, we look at three main things. Number one is volume of traffic on the website and the different assets we track. So we have some clients, they have up to 7 or even 10 million, website visitors a month. So obviously the price goes up there. Second pricing element is number of sales reps. So small clients may have, 5 reps, big ones can have 1,000 or 2,000 sales reps. And the third one is an option around data insights. We provide lead profile insights, and pricing really starts at about $5,000 a year, and then really scales with the organization. But it's very low on configuration and training. And it's fully integrated into the systems. And also to the other question, yes, you can use it without Sales Cloud if you want. Yeah, so we, on existing contacts, so as soon as you have SalesWings installed, we start collecting data, and then you need to basically identify your leads and contacts or subscribers, and that happens with an email click or a form submission. So it's pretty much like Pardot, pretty much the same. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think Lara asked the question again, does SalesWing track activity on existing contacts?
So yeah, so I mean, I think you mean like kind of web and click engagement, all that stuff. So yes, we do, but simply because you've stored them somewhere doesn't mean we immediately connect it. So you do have to engage them with email, and then when they click and visit the website, that's when we identify them, or when leads come inbound on a form.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? I think Mark said that he really enjoyed this format. It was really quick and easy to understand. I really like this format. I think 3 minutes is way too short, my personal opinion. I think this was good, people. And just because Marketing Cloud's a niche, it's a lot of a lot has to be explained. It's a very niche and complicated product as well. I mean, I do like AppExchange in general as well, because it's well-known. It's more simpler, a CRM. But Marketing Cloud has just so many variables, so many things can go wrong in Marketing Cloud. But otherwise, no other questions? Carrie, you want to close us off?
No, I'm sorry. I'm just chuckling to myself because sometimes you can just wait for your stack to need to load for a few seconds, shall we say. So 3 minutes goes very quickly. No, I just want to thank everybody for getting involved. I've learned a lot during this session and found it really valuable. I'd like to thank everybody for their participation. Again, I know that people are giving up their evenings to join us, so that's really important, and it's lovely to see so many people. And our next meeting is probably going to be the 12th, unless we have any sort of catastrophic failures. So we look forward to seeing you then, but I think that's probably it from my side, Jimson.
No, that's it. Thank you very much. Again, thank you for all the presenters, and any questions, feel free to reach out, and I look forward to the next meetup.